please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic?
Captain's Log, Supplemental. Some of the Where Are They Now entries are bonkers. Truly bonkers. With there being a clear sign of utter insanity, you'd think I might consider going easier on them. But no, I'm a dickhead. So how about no? Hello everybody, welcome back to another edition of Where Are They Now? Today we are going to be taking a look at the year of 2023. For Dylan, oh, this one's going to be interesting. Because at the end of 2022, I'd made a video about Dylan Mulvaney and the path to womanhood. No, I'm not going to play that. We're going to play the videos from 2023 because they're relevant, as they concern one big problem, not only with advertisers, but also with social media influencers. Those who are given a privileged position, which then leads to a remarkable turn in fortunes, and not in the good sense. Dylan Mulvaney has had a very up and then tragically down year, but Dylan has been very careful for the majority of the year to try and remedy the backlash they have received because of who they are, the dedication to who they are, and how the public have perceived them being the front for something, but also how media have interpreted it as well. It can be argued that the consequences felt by Dylan can be felt by other creators, because whereas in the past less effort had been put in to look into a creator, the optics of associating with them, because of the vast financial hit taken by one company in particular, other companies are going to look at social media influencers with a bit more caution. And there is a tale for that as well, of course. The first video I made this year was titled Dylan Mulvaney and the Bud Light Deal. After that, I've made one called Dylan Mulvaney's Nike affiliation. They are the first two videos I'm going to play before we talk about a bit more about sponsorships for creators, some of whom can be considered social media influencers, perhaps even a trailblazer. I'll put a timestamp at the top if you want to skip that part, or the part of videos playing from the past.
Because of the time of year we are currently going through, many people like to pull the pranks. Yay. They make this really irritating for creators like myself who try to discern whether something is a PO or not. We can treat it as it isn't, as if it isn't, yes. Or we treat it as if there's a chance it could be, and try and do some research so as to better ascertain whether something is a PO or not. Regardless of how we treat it though, there is still a risk we're going to get this absolutely wrong. The creator in question is called Dylan Mulvaney. We've covered Dylan before, a everyday catalogue on TikTok, their adventures on their path to womanhood, or being a, I think they actually call it girlhood actually. More notable for talking about the bulge, yeah? And using Barbie-related commentary to describe other regions of the body or different types of genitalia. How exciting. Now the video that has sparked a bit of interest actually comes from Instagram.
Hi! Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us.
Already I want to cancel you. Not because you're associated with Bud Light, but simply because Bud Light exists. When your nation's ready to start drinking proper stuff, we'll happily send you over some top shelf single malt. God, you guys are such pussies.
So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way it's a cause to celebrate. This month I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too.
Oh my god, you're a shill. Wait, so we got to see a can of it, but that's it? That was it? I don't understand. I are confused. This almost makes it seem like a PO. A can with your face on. What the hell is going on? I feel like I need to start regurgitating some Stephen He lines here. A can of Bud Light with your face on sounds like a can of failure. Then again, if you're drinking Bud Light in the first place, you are definitely a failure. Libs of TikTok had tweeted, brands continue to line up to idolize and support a male whose sole accomplishment is wearing dresses and makeup. Underneath, most peaceful memes tweeted, this is the can we really want. And my favourite reply, Budweiser, we'll get you so drunk that you won't know what gender you are. It's funny, but to get drunk on Bud Light would require an awful lot of effort. Now this is something I couldn't see on the browser, which is why I questioned whether or not it was a Poe or not. I don't follow Dylan on Instagram on my phone and didn't want to have that in my search history. But on my browser, fine. The caption on the story image, this wasn't on my bingo board, but now it's my most prized possession. We're going to talk about a more recent controversy that actually comes after Bud Light. So a week later, we have 3 separate people, all within the realm of sport, who have criticised a sporting company for linking up with Dylan Mulvaney. The thing with this company is that they're hardly new to controversies. The company in question is Nike. We can just get straight into Dylan and talk about the issues many take with Dylan Mulvaney being a face, an endorser, an affiliate, a promoter for Nike, and Nike themselves investing in Dylan. A US swimmer, Riley Gaines, accused Nike of disrespecting women through the brand's partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. This deal could earn Mulvaney $150,000 per post on Instagram. She believes, Riley Gaines, that by using Dylan, the brand is selling their products by erasing women. With Riley Gaines being quoted as saying, Nike joins the growing list of companies who find it acceptable to disrespect women by making a sad mockery of what a woman entails. The message Nike sends to all girls and women is that men can do everything better. Now, we're going to go to another person now. And I should point out, this one is also a swimmer. And then we're going to move to another athlete, both of whom in their own right are regarded as legends. The first is Sharon Davis, the second, Caitlyn Jenner. Olympic swimming legend Sharon Davis has called for a boycott on sports clothing giant Nike after they used trans woman Dylan Mulvaney to model their new female range. Sharon Davis was not very impressed and hit out at Nike and labelled the advert as a parody of what women are, quoted as saying, "It's so frustrating. We take 2 steps forward with World Athletics and Swim England protecting women's sports and then Nike does this. The ad feels like a parody of what women are. In the past, it has always been an insult to say, run like a girl. And here you've got someone behaving in a way that's very unsporty and very unathletic, and it's so frustrating when only 1% of USA sponsorship dollar goes to females in sport." So courtesy of LBC, Caitlyn Jenner has hit out at woke Nike for using transgender women to promote a range of sports bras. Caitlyn Jenner, as many of you know, formerly Bruce Jenner, an Olympic legend in their own right, slammed Nike by saying, "As someone that grew up in awe of what Nike co-founder Philip Knight did, it is a shame to see such an iconic American company go so woke. We can be inclusive, but not at the expense of the mass majority of people, and have some decency while being inclusive. This is an outrage." Adding on Twitter that she didn't blame Dylan Mulvaney for doing the deal herself, saying, "A little context. I did a collab with H&M. I had done many athletic brand collabs over the years as a successful athlete. I don't blame Dylan, smart move." Also saying, "Equality is greater than inclusivity. Stop trying to erase women. The differences between men and women are real and a good thing. It doesn't make trans people a bad thing either. Why is it so black and white with the radical rainbow mafia?"
These 2 videos happened within the space of a week of each other, and so the backlash was not truly felt for a little bit longer. But you'll notice those that were critical are people who are often considered more conservative, or who are left-leaning but feel a little disillusioned with the left. It is very black and white in America when it comes to politics, because the middle and or centre-left, centre-right don't quite have as much sway as they could have. Give it more time, you never know. Never say never, don't rule it out, touch wood if you wish. And I don't mean that as a joke. But these voices that are being critical of Dylan being associated have points as well about what it means to be a woman and to trivialise, but also to take away from other women in sports where these opportunities could have gone, the Nike deal especially. The Bud Light one, I genuinely stand by my belief that whiskey is superior. What I want to play now is the fallout. What happened when people started to dig how those that were more inclined to purchase Bud Light, Americans, reacted to that sponsorship, because this is important. It is considerable blowback that directly impacted Dylan Mulvaney, but also Anheuser-Busch, who are the company that own Bud Light. Up until this point, I genuinely never believed a boycott could accomplish anything. And then the American people decided You've thrown yourself in behind a political issue and shown yourselves to try and be more progressive to get rid of the frat boys, as you seem to call it, and the rednecks. We're now going to stop buying your beer. Although they did buy Modelo instead, and that's also Anheuser-Busch. To the fallout!
Courtesy of The Independent, Dylan Mulvaney addresses the anti-trans backlash over her Nike and Bud Light partnerships. The TikTok star opened up about being a member of the transgender community and some of the scrutiny she's faced during Tuesday's episode of iHeartRadio's Onward with Rosie O'Donnell podcast. Her comments came as online trolls have been criticizing Nike and Bud Light for choosing her to be one of their, I'm going to put that there on purpose, ambassador. Rosie O'Donnell. Okay, fair enough. Mulvaney talked to host Rosie O'Donnell about the ongoing attacks towards transgender people in the US and her own transition before sharing why she believes she's been hit with a lot of criticism. Quote, "The reason that I think I'm an easy target is because I'm so new to this. I think I'm going after a trans woman that's been doing this for like 20 years is a lot more difficult. I think maybe they think that there's some sort of chance with me, but what is their goal? There might be a point to that." Continuing with the article, although she didn't mention anyone by name, Mulvaney said she doesn't let people's online comments get to her, but that the backlash is a sign that things need to change. Quote, "I'm not worried about the people talking about me on their podcasts. I'm worried about their listeners. And I also think that it's just a heavy time, and it's time to step up for sure." During that same podcast, Rosie O'Donnell criticized Kid Rock, because Kid Rock had decided that he did not want to be associated with Bud Light anymore, and so posted a video on Twitter of himself shooting a rifle at a case of the brand's beers. With Rosie being quoted as saying beer companies have been supportive of the LGBTQIA community for decades. This is not the first time. Who do you think sponsors Pride? Gay people, trans people, we need beer too, man. Put down your gun, Kid Rock. It's in bad taste. Interestingly, Nike have spoken about creating a positive community, saying in a pinned comment, "You are an essential component to the success of our community. We welcome comments that contribute to a positive and constructive discussion. Be kind, be inclusive, encourage each other. Hate speech, bullying, or other behaviors that are not in the spirit of a diverse and inclusive community will be deleted." Things like that only stoke fire within the hearts of all keyboard warriors. How do you not know how to internet? It's current year after all. One would have thought by now you would know how to internet. Don't put bait out like this as well, because you mention comments that contribute to, and then you say positive and constructive. Much of it can be considered constructive, but you find a way to make it hate speech because that is nebulous. Bullying, it is nebulous. Other behaviors is also vague. I thought I'd just say the other word since it made more sense. A little diversity and inclusivity with my language. How do you like that? It's funny really, because I've always encouraged absolutist freedom of speech. People can say whatever they want really, but I'm aware that for the most part we have to play the game. Dylan Mulvaney is playing a very dangerous game right now, because that game comes across as disingenuous. I don't agree with the idea of taking a bunch of cans and shooting them as a form of protest. I really don't. But I don't for a different reason. You see, Bud Light to me isn't a beer, and I'm going to play a video from somebody off YouTube that adequately conveyed my message concerning Bud Light.
All right, so there's a lot of people talking about the new trans spokesperson for Bud Light beer, Dylan Mulvaney. Apparently to celebrate Dylan's 365th day as a woman, they've put Dylan's face on the can. Yeah, you know Dylan, the woman? Yeah. Personally, I think it'd be more appropriate to put David's face on some Pennzoil transmission fluid. Get it? Anyway, if you're one of the people boycotting Bud Light for partnering with Dylan, I'd like to congratulate you on joining the rest of the world who's been boycotting Bud Light ever since we discovered it's literally the most disgusting tasting beer known to man. If you're one of the folks who's mad that the official spokesperson for Bud Light is now a trans person, take a look in the mirror. You're drinking light beer. You're halfway there yourself.
So moving away from that, we're going to go to Anheuser-Busch. They had eventually broken their silence after the whole controversy concerning Dylan Mulvaney's inclusion. CEO Brendan Whitworth made a statement on Friday, saying, "As the CEO of a company founded in America's heartland more than 165 years ago, and you still can't get a good beer recipe right, I am responsible for ensuring every consumer feels proud of the beer we brew. We're honored to be part of the fabric of this country. Anheuser-Busch employs more than 18,000 people, and our independent distributors employ an additional 47,000 valued colleagues. We have thousands of partners, millions of fans, and a proud history supporting our communities, military, first responders, sports fans, and hard-working Americans everywhere. We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people. We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer. Well, I mean, you do anyway, because your beer's shit. Seriously, it's not even beer. It's so bad. It's light. But it's light something that's already shite. Therefore, it is not beer. Is it now? My time serving this country taught me the importance of accountability and the values upon which America was founded. Ah, America. Freedom, hard work, and respect for one another. That doesn't sound very American, the respect part. Not from what I've seen of late. As CEO of Anheuser-Busch, I am focused on building and protecting our remarkable history and heritage. Gatekeeping a crap recipe. Cool. I care deeply about this country, yet you can't produce a good beer enough to respect them that much. This company, our brands, and our partners. I spent much of my time traveling across America, apologizing no doubt, listening to and learning from our customers. Clearly you're not learning, your beer's still shite, distributors and others. Moving forward, I will continue to work tirelessly to bring great beers to consumers across our nation. Well, that's a lie, isn't it? Why lie to your audience like this? I have an ISO cube with your name on it, Mr. Whitworth. In the case of Mr. Whitworth, he was accused also, well, there were reports of it anyway, that senior executives were kept in the dark about the rollout of Dylan Mulvaney's sponsorship things, yeah? And the additional accusation is that the only reason this even happened, this apology, is because stocks, the market value plummeted from $132 billion, which is what the company is worth, down by $5 billion since the campaign launched on April the 1st. So the first bit of fallout worth noting, 5 Chicago gay bars are boycotting Anheuser-Busch for distancing itself from transgender social media star Dylan Mulvaney. Sidetrack Bar in Chicago's Lakeview shared its boycott plan on Instagram, noting the brewers' moves strongly bring into question their support of the LGBTQ+ community. In their statement, they said for 41 years, Sidetrack has encouraged liquor and beer companies that have wished to garner the LGBTQ+ customer base to actively support our community. Bud Light's recent decision to drop Dylan Mulvaney's campaign to put on leave those who created it, as well as the statement by its CEO, wrongfully validates the position that it is acceptable to acquiesce to the demands of those who do not support the trans community and wish to erase LGBTQ+ visibility. I think they're towing the line with what makes them money, but, you do you, boo. Another bar called Two Bears put out a statement on Facebook. This statement, no less, and no, I'm not going to read all of it. By all means, pause and read it at your leisure. There was another article by USA Today that spoke about the pros and cons of these kind of boycotts. It did summarize by saying, though, that while there were some dips, the company is seeing signs of some stabilization in day-to-day sales data. So it is likely that this, this fallout, is that what you want to call it? This consequence, that's a better word, isn't it now, is not long-term damage, it is a short-term shock to the system.
Many months later.
The backlash experienced by Anheuser-Busch has been quite substantial. This has led to a drop in 21% in sales alone, by the way, with the total number of sales for the parent company Anheuser-Busch falling by 12%. Competitors, Youngling and Miller Lite, rose in sales by more than 12%, with Coors Light getting 10.9%, which is understandable. People will gravitate towards other more casual to consume beverages, even if I think all of them are absolute trash. The word light does you no favors. But also whiskey is better. Budweiser was also hit with a knock-on effect of the controversy by dipping 11.5% in sales. But there's more. I mentioned other companies that are underneath the umbrella of Anheuser-Busch. You have Busch dropping 5.3% and Natural dropping 6%. Here is, if you're interested, a graph of it. The global CEO of Anheuser-Busch blamed misinformation and disinformation that was being spread online for making people believe cans with Mulvaney's face were being rolled out for sale across the US. There is a point there. I thought it was a novelty sent to Dylan Mulvaney. I didn't for a moment believe that these cans were going to be rolled out nationally or internationally, because realistically there's no point to that. During an earnings call with investors last week, the CEO had said that the company is going to provide financial support to frontline workers. and also give them free beer. When speaking to the Financial Times, he said people often talk about this topic in social media like noise. You have one fact and every person puts an opinion behind the fact, and then the opinions start to be replicated fast on each and every comment. By the time that 10 or 20 people put a comment out there, the reality is no longer what the fact is, but more about what the comments were. A very complicated way of saying Chinese whispers. Remember that as a child? Yes. Adding, we never intended to make it for general production and sell for the public. It was one post, it was not an advertisement. Are you sure about that? Because it kind of is an advert. It's a paid promotion. That, on the face of it, seems a bit disingenuous.
Essentially, Anheuser-Busch suffered a loss of billions. In all my time online, I have never known of a creator being a paid sponsor to promote a product through one ad because they wanted to test the waters, to then cost the company its #1 spot in the country as best beer or favourite beer, biggest selling beer, which in turn got worse and worse and worse to the tune of billions, to the point people have actually resigned from Anheuser-Busch because others got put on paid leave anyway. They were screwed. No one was willing to take the blame, and then when the blame was assigned, they refused to listen. Bud Light have tried to claw back by hooking up with the UFC. Good luck with that. But we're now going to swerve and get back onto Dylan Mulvaney, because Dylan did do stuff over the course of the year afterwards. It just took a bit of time because Dylan had to go underground for a while, which made sense. And I know that a lot of what you just saw was all Anheuser-Busch related, but it had to be because I needed you to see the full context of what one Instagram post did. Ever since February of 2022, Dylan Mulvaney had seen, until May of 2023, phenomenal growth on the platform in the millions. Likes on TikTok went up at that point to tens of millions. But this year, ever since April, it has been in the 0 and recently negative. Dylan hasn't grown since the ad happened. But if you go to Dylan's TikTok, they are still getting hundreds of thousands, millions of views per TikTok. On Instagram, the story is very similar. Ever since April the 1st, Dylan has been in the negatives follower growth, averaging per month a loss of at least 10,000 followers since. But still in the way of traction per post, getting hundreds of thousands of likes for everything they post. So losing followers in this instance, when you are a person with the follower size that Dylan Mulvaney has on Instagram, 1.8 million, or over 10 million on TikTok, it's not so much a hit just yet. Especially when on places like TikTok, tens of millions of views per post. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. This year, and this was memed to high heaven, Dylan Mulvaney won a Streamy Award. Now, the Streamy Awards to me are a joke anyway, although they at least this year mocked Miranda Singh's Colleen Ballinger with the ukulele and apology. Dylan Mulvaney won the award for Breakout Creator. I would argue it's a year late, since Dylan Mulvaney broke out in February of 2022. I think they were trying to play the optics game for the sake of it. In October, Dylan also won Woman of the Year award from the LGBTQ magazine Attitude. So while Bud Light, Anheuser-Busch anyway, have certainly felt a huge sting, Dylan has managed to continue their career, granted not all positive, but with some highlights sprinkled throughout. They did also receive another award that I hadn't heard of until I started perusing Dylan's TikTok account. I'm going to show that video before we go through other things that Dylan has done this year.
Hi, I'm Dylan Mulvaney. My pronouns are she, they, and I am honored to share that I am the 2023 recipient of the Trevor Project's Suicide Prevention Advocate of the Year Award. This award means the world to me, not only because Trevor Project is an organization near and dear to my heart, but also because I have struggled with dark thoughts both in adulthood and during my queer childhood.
Now Dylan, after the whole Bud Light debacle and while trying to rebuild, maintaining a level of positivity, continuing with the number of days of womanhood, which has been continuing up to and including Halloween, vlogs a bit of globetrotting on their TikTok. They went to Peru.
Hi, is this an okay time? Okay, surprise! I'm in Peru, and I'm at Machu Picchu. Isn't this just so beautiful? I'm here by myself, and I used to do a ton of solo traveling. I'm telling you, it's the best. If you could ever do a solo trip somewhere, it is such a good way to get to know yourself better.
They went to France.
It's day 500. I'm having the best day ever. I got my pina colada. It's my second one. I'm in France.
They're even prepping to come to London, which they may well have at time of recording. I cannot be certain at this point.
Hi, is this a good time? Okay, good. Well, in that case, keep me some company while I pack for London. First up is this Stod pinstripe dress, and it's a little loose, but I like what it's doing for my boobs.
Dylan also underwent facial feminization surgery. This is quite common. I am not going to pounce on the trender remark. If this is the path you walk, so be it. It's not my place to judge that. But I thought I'd show this as well because it is relevant to the year of 2023 for Dylan.
That's a wrap on face reveal! Oh my gosh, hi! I missed you! You know I have a flair for the dramatics. But it's so good, right? I'm so happy, and it's still me, it's just a little bit softer of a version.
Dylan has done many photo shoots over the course of the year, whether that be for awards that I've already indicated or for other photo shoots. But Lady Gaga, you've got wearing male clothing for certain seasons, also the typical glow-up content. And I don't quite get the glow-up content myself, because to me that speaks volumes about how much effort you have to put in to look the way you think you would be your best. Perhaps I'm too black-pilled to get it, or cynical.
I love nature because it doesn't discriminate. Like a mosquito would bite me no matter my pronouns. A tree wouldn't shame me for my stubborn 5 o'clock shadow or my flat chest. So if I pass you on a trail, I'm gonna smile, and I hope you'll smile back.
Dylan has also expressed an interest in acting, especially now that the SAG-AFTRA strike is over. Along with writing a book, Dylan also featured on the Out 100 list, which is a prestigious compilation of the year's most impactful and influential LGBTQ+ people in the disruptors category, while taking a considerable pummeling from online space and from the public for the involvement or link up with Bud Light, whether official or not. Dylan has also gone on to discuss moving on, as the year has been relatively successful for them as they themselves can see, while also trying to navigate dating by saying that they would rather have a partner that is a little quieter than they are, which there's an obvious remark can be made. Do resist the urge to point out the sub-dom aspect of it. Towards the end of the year, Dylan Mulvaney sat down and spoke with Seth Matlins, who is the managing director of the Forbes CMO network, at the CMO Forbes Summit in Miami. In front of a room of marketing executives, they spoke about the backlash that they have faced as a transgender spokesperson over the past 12 months, urging brands to be more inclusive in their marketing and support the talent they recruit to foster a true connection between the partner and the brand, and that simply hiring a trans spokesperson for a campaign isn't enough to be truly inclusive. Quote, if you're not sitting at the table, you're on the menu, and supporting and hiring trans people should not be political, and the people making it out to be, they're bigots and we should not let them win. There is a point here about inclusivity, 100%, but you'll often find, and Dylan, I hope you understand this, the majority of ads are done to trivialize and tokenize because companies want to make money. They'll claim they don't, and that it's about pushing the wider message, but the truth is, they will push the message that makes them the most money. If they throw their lot in with something that polarizes their core audience, they are going to have to diverge a little to try and encourage the casuals, the regulars, to come with them. Unfortunately for you, because of what happened with Bud Light, we have seen how this does not always work. But for the year of 2023, regardless of follower loss on multiple platforms, Dylan is having a relatively successful year and is being championed by many outlets and many companies, and with a number of awards to show for that. I am keen to see what 2024 holds for Dylan Mulvaney as they continue towards 1000 days of womanhood.